Tester, Evaluator, and Grand Pop welcome you to a WiseHooterLearning video.
Bonjour, mes petits explorateurs. Today, we're diving into the Great Lakes region of North America with Tester, Evaluator, and Grand Pop of WiseHooterLearning. Imagine a place with so much fresh water, it could hold all the water in all the other lakes in the world combined. That's the Great Lakes: Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Get ready to be amazed by the sheer scale and beauty of these freshwater behemoths. Allons-y, let's set sail. How did these giant puddles get here? Massive glaciers like giant ice cubes carved out the land, leaving behind giant holes. As the climate warmed, these glaciers melted, filling those enormous craters with water. Voila, the Great Lakes! These lakes shape the land, creating beaches, cliffs, and sand dunes, attracting a whole host of plants and animals, creating an ecosystem teeming with life. Picture this, mes amis. North America, millions of years ago. Massive glaciers, thicker than the tallest building, carved out the land as they inched their way south. These glaciers gouged out huge chunks of rock and soil, creating basins that would one day hold the Great Lakes. They left behind massive depressions, some deeper than the Grand Canyon, ready to be filled with water. As the Earth's climate warmed, those massive glaciers started to melt, turning into rivers of water cascading across the landscape. The water poured into the giant basins carved out by the glaciers, filling them up like bathtubs. The Great Lakes were born drop by colossal drop. As the water levels rose and fell over time, they sculpted the surrounding landscape, creating the shorelines, islands, and river systems we see today. These newly formed lakes weren't just content with being big bowls of water. They were busy shaping the world around them. Water levels rising and falling carved away at the land, creating cliffs, beaches, and sand dunes. Rivers flowed into the lakes, enriching the lakebed and providing the building blocks for a thriving ecosystem. Forests grew up around the lakes, providing homes for a menagerie of creatures. Thousands of islands, big and small, dot the surface of the Great Lakes, each one a unique ecosystem unto itself. Now it's time for a shout out to Liam, Noah, Lucas, William, Benjamin, Ethan, Logan, Oliver, Jacob, and of course James. Long before the first European explorers, the indigenous peoples of North America called this region home. Tribes like the Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Huron-Wendat lived in harmony with nature, understanding that they were a part of the ecosystem, not apart from it. They fished the lakes with respect, hunted the forest with care, and honored the land that sustained them. The indigenous people of the Great Lakes region were masters of survival, living off the land and water using their deep knowledge of nature to thrive. They fished the teeming waters, catching whitefish, trout, and sturgeon. They used nets woven from plant fibers, hooks carved from bone, and spears tipped with sharpened stones. They gathered wild berries, harvested wild rice, and collected nuts, roots, and herbs, using their knowledge of plants for both food and medicine. The Great Lakes were a source of wonder, inspiration, and endless stories for the indigenous people. Legends like Nanabojo, the trickster spirit, and the thunderbird, a mythical creature controlling storms, were passed down through generations. These stories explained the natural world, teaching important lessons about respect, courage, and the consequences of greed. Nanabush is the main character in many Ojibwe legends and is as old as the Ojibwe language itself. He was sent to teach the Anishinaabe how to live. His mother was Anishinaabe and his father a spirit. Being half spirit, he had amazing abilities. Nanabojo is a shapeshifter who is both zoomorphic as well as anthropomorphic, meaning that Nanabojo can take the shape of animals or humans in storytelling. Thus, Nanabush takes many different forms in storytelling. The Thunderbird, in Native American mythology, a powerful spirit in the form of a bird. By its work, the earth was watered and vegetation grew. Lightning was believed to flash from its beak, and the beating of its wings was thought to represent the rolling of thunder. Great Lakes Indian lore also describes the Mishipeshu, an underwater panther with a stripe along its back and a long tail. There are many more mythologies from the Great Lakes region that you can find. A Google search or the library are great places to do your research. Photo credit: Underwater Panther, George Gustav Hayes Center, National Museum of the American Indian. The Great Lakes region was like a giant treasure chest filled with valuable minerals like copper, iron, and even gold. The indigenous people had been mining copper for centuries, using it to make tools, weapons, and beautiful jewelry. As more settlers arrived, eager to strike it rich, they began to mine the land with little regard for the environment, leading to deforestation and river diversion. Section 2. Forests of giants. Timber. Imagine, mes amis, forests so vast and dense, they seem to stretch on forever, like a scene from a fairy tale. The Great Lakes region was once home to some of the most magnificent forests in the world, with trees so tall they could kiss the clouds. We're talking about towering white pines, their trunks thicker than a school bus, their branches reaching for the sky like giant arms. These trees weren't just pretty to look at, they were the backbone of the lumber industry. Their wood, strong and durable, was used to build houses, barns, ships, and even furniture that could withstand the test of time. It was like nature had provided the perfect building material, and people were eager to put it to good use. The sound of axes ringing through the forest was a familiar one, as lumberjacks worked tirelessly to fell these giants of the forest. They used saws, axes, and even teams of oxen to haul the logs out of the woods, their skills honed by years of hard work and a deep respect for the power of nature. But as with the mineral wealth, the demand for timber came at a cost. Forests were cleared at an alarming rate, their ecosystems disrupted, their wildlife displaced. It was a classic case of supply and demand, but in this case, the supply was finite and the demand seemed insatiable. Section 3. The price of plenty, balancing nature's bounty. Now, it's important to remember, mes amis, that nature is a delicate balance. When we take too much, when we don't give back, that balance is disrupted. The Great Lakes region, despite its abundance, was not immune to the consequences of overexploitation. The mining boom left behind scars on the land that took generations to heal. Rivers were polluted with mine tailings, forests were decimated, and wildlife populations dwindled. The once pristine landscapes were transformed into industrial zones, their beauty overshadowed by the relentless pursuit of progress. The lumber industry, while essential for growth, also left its mark. The clear-cutting of forests led to soil erosion, increased flooding, and the loss of habitat for countless species. The once mighty white pines, which had stood for centuries, were reduced to stumps, their grandeur a distant memory. The lesson here, mes amis, is that we must be mindful of our impact on the environment. We must learn to balance our needs with the needs of nature. We must remember that the Great Lakes are not just a source of resources, but a precious ecosystem that deserves our respect and protection. Section 1. Across the Atlantic, a new wave arrives. Let's step back in time again. While the indigenous people had long navigated the Great Lakes in their trusty birch bark canoes, photo credit northernforestcanoetrail.org, a new set of adventurers with fancy hats and a taste for beaver pelts arrived on the scene. Oui, mes amis, the Europeans had arrived.
Picture this: giant wooden ships tossed about like toys on the Great Lakes, filled with explorers from across the Atlantic. They had sailed for months, braving storms and scurvy, all in search of new lands, new riches, and maybe even a good cup of tea.
The French, led by intrepid explorers like Samuel de Champlain, were among the first to arrive. They paddled up the St. Lawrence River, their eyes widening at the sight of the vast freshwater seas. They called it Le Grand Lac, unaware that there were 4 more just as grand waiting to be discovered.
Hot on their heels came the British, always up for a bit of exploration and a spot of tea, of course. They sailed across the Atlantic, their ships laden with goods to trade and dreams of establishing a new world. They marveled at the towering forests, the abundance of wildlife, and the potential for trade and settlement.
Word spread like wildfire back in Europe about these freshwater giants and the riches they held. Soon, more ships arrived, carrying settlers eager to build a new life in this land of opportunity. They came from all walks of life, from farmers seeking fertile land to merchants seeking new markets, all drawn to the promise of the Great Lakes region.
But the arrival of these newcomers wouldn't go unnoticed by the indigenous people, who had called this land home for centuries. The stage was set for a clash of cultures, a meeting of two worlds that would forever change the fate of the Great Lakes region.
Section 2. Trading post to towns, building a new world. These early European settlers came to build, trade, and carve out a new life. And what better place to start than on the shores of these magnificent lakes? Bustling trading posts sprang up at river mouths and waterways. The French traded European goods for luxurious beaver pelts. They forged alliances with indigenous tribes, learning their languages and customs. The British established their own posts, competing for the fur trade. It was a clash of commerce and a cultural exchange. Trading posts grew into bustling towns, echoing with construction and commerce. Wooden houses replaced tents, and a new society took shape. Clashes and coexistence. A story of two cultures. The arrival of European settlers brought great change for the indigenous people of the Great Lakes. It was a clash of cultures, a meeting of two worlds with different ways of life. Some tribes welcomed the newcomers, eager to trade and forge alliances, while others viewed them with suspicion, their lands threatened. Conflicts arose, some sparked by misunderstandings, others fueled by greed and a thirst for power. The fur trade, once a source of mutual benefit, became a point of contention. Competition intensified, disrupting traditional hunting grounds. The delicate balance between the indigenous people and the natural world was thrown into disarray. But amidst the clashes, there were also stories of coexistence, of cultural exchange, and even friendship. Many settlers learned to respect the indigenous people, their deep connection to the land, and their wisdom in navigating the challenges of this vast wilderness. Intermarriage between cultures occurred, creating new families and blending traditions. The French, with their focus on the fur trade, often adopted a more diplomatic approach, forming strong alliances with indigenous tribes and learning their languages and customs. The British, with their emphasis on settlement and agriculture, often sought to assert their dominance, leading to tension and conflict. The story of the Great Lakes region during this period is a complex one, a tapestry woven with threads of conflict and cooperation, of loss and adaptation. It's a reminder that the history of human interaction is rarely simple, often marked by both progress and its unintended consequences. But through it all, the Great Lakes continued to flow, a silent witness to the unfolding drama of human history on their shores. Now it's time for another shout-out to Olivia, Emma, Bill, Charlotte, Sid, Amelia, Debbie, Ava, Laura, Dale, Sophia, Evelyn, Yvonne, Rich, Mia, Emily, and of course Chloe. Concrete giants, cities rise by the lakes. As more and more people flocked to the Great Lakes region, those once sleepy trading posts transformed into bustling cities. Brick by brick, street by street, these urban centers sprouted up along the shores.
Chicago, the Windy City, rose from the shores of Lake Michigan, becoming a hub for trade and industry. Imagine a city so alive with energy, it practically vibrated with the rhythm of progress.
Detroit, the Motor City, roared to life on the banks of the Detroit River, its factories churning out automobiles. Picture a city where innovation was in the air, as thick as the exhaust fumes from those shiny new cars. Section 2. Industry churns from iron to automobiles. These burgeoning cities were built on the sweat and toil of countless workers, fueled by the raw materials of the Great Lakes region. It was a time of unprecedented growth and transformation. Iron ore deposits were unearthed and shipped across the Great Lakes to feed steel mills. These mills transformed raw ore into steel, the building blocks of modern society. The automobile industry found its heart in Detroit. Henry Ford's assembly line changed the way we live, work, and travel. But this rapid industrialization came at a cost. Section 3. Shifting tides, adapting to change. As the 20th century unfolded, The Great Lakes region, like a ship navigating choppy waters, faced new challenges and opportunities. The industrial boom, which had brought prosperity to the region, began to wane as global competition and changing economic tides forced industries to adapt or decline. The steel industry, once the backbone of cities like Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Gary, faced stiff competition from abroad. Mills closed, jobs were lost, and communities that had once thrived on the clang of machinery fell silent. It was a painful transition, a reminder that even the mightiest industries are not immune to the forces of change. The automobile industry too faced its share of challenges, with rising fuel costs, foreign competition, and changing consumer preferences forcing automakers to rethink their strategy. Detroit, once the epicenter of the American automotive dream, struggled to keep pace, its population dwindling as factories closed and jobs moved overseas. But amidst these challenges, the spirit of innovation and resilience that had always characterized the Great Lakes region shone through. Cities diversified their economies, investing in new industries from technology to healthcare. Universities and research institutions attracted bright minds, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. The Great Lakes themselves, once treated as industrial dumping grounds, became the focus of renewed conservation efforts. Citizens and policymakers recognized the ecological importance of these freshwater treasures, working to clean up pollution and protect the fragile ecosystems that depended on them. Section 1. The lakes today, more than just water. Today, mes amis, the Great Lakes region stands at a crossroads, shaped by its history, its industries, and its people. Those shimmering waters, once teeming with canoes and fur traders, now reflect the skyscrapers of modern cities, the sails of pleasure boats, and the hopes of a new generation. The factories that once churned out steel and automobiles may have fallen silent, but new industries have emerged like shoots springing up from the forest floor. Technology hubs hum with innovation, research centers explore cutting-edge solutions, and a renewed focus on sustainability is breathing new life into the region.
But the true heart of the Great Lakes region remains those 5 freshwater giants, their waters as vast and awe-inspiring as ever. They are a source of life, recreation, and endless wonder, drawing millions each year to their shores. Imagine, mes amis, casting a fishing line into the cool depths, hoping to hook a walleye as big as your arm. Picture yourself kayaking along a secluded shoreline, the only sound the gentle lapping of waves against your boat. Envision yourself gazing out at a fiery sunset over the lake, the sky ablaze with colors more vibrant than any artist's palette. The Great Lakes are more than just a collection of water. They are a testament to the power of nature, the resilience of the human spirit, and the importance of preserving our planet's most precious resources.
Section 2. Guardians of the Giants, a shared responsibility. As we've journeyed through time, mes amis, we've seen how the Great Lakes have shaped the land, the people, and the industries of this remarkable region. We've witnessed the ingenuity, the ambition, and sometimes the recklessness of those who have called this place home. Now it's our turn to be the guardians of these freshwater giants, to learn from the past and protect them for generations to come. The challenges are real, from invasive species to climate change, but so too are the opportunities to make a difference. Imagine, mes amis, a future where the Great Lakes are cleaner than ever before, their waters teeming with fish, their shorelines vibrant with life. Picture cities embracing sustainable practices, industries innovating with the environment in mind, and communities coming together to protect their shared treasure. It starts with each and every one of us, mes amis. By learning about the Great Lakes, appreciating their beauty, and making conscious choices to protect them, we can ensure that these freshwater giants continue to inspire, sustain, and connect us for centuries to come. Remember, mes peris explorators, the Great Lakes are a gift, a legacy, and a responsibility. Let's cherish them, protect them, and ensure that their story continues to unfold for generations to come. Au revoir.
Tester, Evaluator, and Grandpop from WiseHooterLearning, thank you for watching our video. We hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to laugh, learn, and take in the beauty around you, and of course subscribe to our channel. It's free to subscribe and helps us to continue to make videos for you.